Welcome to All About the Experiences. Today is my 10th episode. Each week, I am completely inspired by my guests and their willingness to share their stories, their experiences, and like literally, I feel like I'm living in a storybook. I love it. I want you all to share in my excitement, and I encourage you to tune in weekly and just be inspired, much like I am. Never miss an episode. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform by name, All About the Experiences. And also for the latest updates about my All About the Experiences brand, go to www.allabouttheexperiences.com. There's a theme here, All About the Experiences. Also, you can reach me at directly at Cheryl at All About the Experiences. And I just want to thank you all for your continued support. Now, today's guest she's so near and dear to my heart, and I'm so honored that she agreed to come on my platform. She is the founder and CEO of Bright Business Media, which publishes the award-winning Smart Meetings magazine and the companion website, www.smartmeetings.com, to which I do subscribe. And as a meeting planner, it has literally become my go-to source for all things that are dealing in the meetings and event space. She also manages an online community of a combined 145,000 event professionals, 57,000 social media followers. Hello to the blue check, okay? I need to know how I get there.
I need a nap.
I love it. The publication annually awards the prestigious Smart Stars and Platinum Choice Awards to hospitality companies that meet the publication's high standards. 10 years ago, she launched the Smart Meetings events, now coined Smart Meetings Experiences. We all love that word, experiences, which produces monthly regional and national networking forums and the Smart Women Summit. And that is a celebration of women elevating the entire industry. And it is now entering its 4th year. I have to say, I am a proud, I was nominated and I won in the Rising Star category in 2019. So you're looking at
excellent. Well done. Of course you did.
Yes. And as a thought leader in the space, she speaks on best practices and trends in the industry and contributed articles in LinkedIn. And Lord knows that's another go-to source for me, and also for that networking and connectivity. She previously served as Vice President and Publisher of Meetings Media, West Coast Sales Manager for Meetings News, and National Sales Manager for the Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group. I have stayed at several of those properties, and they're amazing. She is a graduate of the prestigious Mills College in Oakland, California, with a bachelor's degree in communications and psychology. She was honored with the San Francisco Bay Area Meetings Industry Excellence Award in the Legend category from the Northern California chapter of PCMA in 2011. She also received back-to-back honors as the Folio's Top Women in Media in 2014 and 2015, and was the 2015 recipient of the WPA's Leadership Award. Without further delay, I am pleased and honored to welcome Marin Bright to my All About the Experiences platform. Welcome.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad to be here. Wow, you did that much better than I could, let me just say.
I have learned so much from being in your presence and being at the Smart Meetings Experiences.
Thank you.
And I had to pay homage to you today and wearing Smart
Meetings.
Yes, you've
got our color on. I need my hair. I need to fix that.
If
I could just get my hair done, I'd be happy.
I love it. Well, it is an understatement that your accomplishments, obviously, from the intro are very far-reaching. And I just need to know, what inspires you to have all of these things that have, obviously we're giving you all your accolades here, but what inspires you to create this wonderful tool that we all use and know as Smart Meetings?
Well, thank you so much for all of that and those kind words and compliments. And when I first started, and it's still the same, my motivation is to truly inspire people to do better. And as you said, the Mandarin, and if you went back to my college days, I worked in retail and I was at Neiman's and Saks. So I was really trained about giving the customer a fabulous experience. And I love doing that. I get so much joy myself when somebody is having a good experience. And uh, been in this industry for a long time, and I was with a number of different magazines and took a look around and decided that after 9/11, that's all crazy stuff. I always change, and I'm a big proponent of this because it's a marker in my life. I left the hotel industry when the earthquake hit San Francisco and moved to publishing. So I always see adversity, and we really are going through some real adversity times, unlike I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. But I moved during the earthquake to publishing, and then I moved after 9/11 from my one magazine. I started at my first magazine during Desert Storm, and I was the only one on airplanes. And at 9/11, I launched Smart Meetings 2 months after, and people thought I was absolutely so crazy. Crazy is what they would call me. But I believe that when you're driven to do good and you're driven to your passion is really about helping others, and your passion is about, I really wanted hotels in all of those instances to have a format that they could be a part of, that meeting planners would be more engaged. When I started Smart Meetings, most trade magazines look like trade magazines, and that was okay. That was B2B, and we did, the picture could be blurry, and that was okay. And I've been through print for so many years that the processes have gotten better. But I really wanted to break out, and hotels were changing a lot in those days. So a hotel used to be a place when I came along where you slept, and then Campton Place, I think, really was the first one, became a place that you ate and you dined and you had a fine dining experience. I mean, really, a hotel was really only for breakfast. And then Kimpton, I think, really took the lead with so many food and foodie and unique and fun experiences that we would all about. And I would look at the marketing materials that were out there, and they weren't really keeping up with the hotels, in my opinion, at the time. And so I was very inspired by the creativity and the raising the game in our industry to provide people much more than just a bed. And then it became about a amazing bed, and then it became about a shower curtain that didn't stick to you anymore, and everything upped the game, right? So
Absolutely.
I felt like we needed a marketing tool that would up the game, that not only planners would enjoy reading, but hotels would enjoy putting their new modern products in, and it would have more synergy. So the creativity of it all is really fun for me as well. And I really like a collaborative project. I like working, publishing suits me, as hotels suited me very well too, because you really work as a team.
Absolutely.
And that's in my DNA. So, that was a lot of the motivation.
Well, it definitely shows. I mean, obviously, I like to say that I have graduated from the Smart Meetings experiences a better meeting planner. And I know as a meeting planner all the things that go on behind the scenes. And when I'm there at one of the Smart Meetings experiences, it is a well-oiled machine. Your team, I mean, they're so gracious and accommodating. And I like to always say, I even told my husband this. I said, normally when I'm there and we're ushering from one appointment to the other, and I love it. I can hear Marin on the microphone, and she's just like, "Okay, Cheryl, let's move it, let's cut it off. You can do more of that in the networking." And I'm just like,
People say
I
to me at the events, they always say to me, "Am I in trouble?" Or my
know.
kid says, "Are you the principal at your events?" Yes, I would be the principal.
But you're
But I
the
did get to
amazing
taste, I think.
principal.
Well, thank you. But you do, I mean, events, oh my gosh, when we started those, nobody was doing that. IMAX hadn't even launched. There was a show that I went to called The Great Resort Show at the Dell that was about these one-on-one appointments that I had not experienced. And I remember thinking, I think I could do that. And I came back as this entrepreneurial spirit, and I put together my first event at the Cavallo Point. I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in my backyard because it's going to take a lot of work.
Right.
And I did what every meeting planner would do. I started a checklist. And
Okay.
that first event, we had a phenomenal showing. And, events are real time. You have to be so hands on. You have
Mhm.
to, uh, be there to create that experience for people. And that one was we did the spa for everybody. We did cooking classes, and I learned the hard way. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. We had a winemaker dinner. We had Silver Oak. I drank too much of it. The next morning, I was like, "You can't do that at your own events. That's not going to work." I, I woke up, I'm like, and you have to be on the stage. I'm like, oh my God, no. And then the bus broke down on the way. We had this dinner
Oh
anyway. But
no.
events have been become a passion of mine because you can really give people that firsthand connection with us and what we're all about. And we have the opportunity, and we love to wow people. And so we're always thinking, we were the first to do the swag and do the turn, a lot of the,
Can I
although
just
that's not really.
interject and say those swag bags are phenomenal? I just have to say that. In fact, can I just say this? And this is, I look forward, this is one of
Oh,
my,
there it is.
and I
Yes.
have it in purple, green, and orange, by the way.
Yes.
If
Our
anybody
color.
happens to leave one of theirs and I'm just like, are they coming back for that?
Oh,
Then
I know exactly. I like to keep those too. My kid was handing them out in school. They're very popular, and I have to thank Boundless, and they did an
yes.
amazing job providing us with those. So thank you for appreciating that.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
fun, and we have a lot of fun coming up with unique menus and experiences, and
Yes.
it's our industry. You wouldn't go into this industry if you didn't want to have fun, would you?
Not at all. Not at all.
But we
And
also want to be serious, and we want to get business done. And it's a big, big industry. And I'm on the Meetings Mean Business Board, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm really, really interested in taking the message to the greater world, especially with what's going on right now in the hospitality industry, and just uh, gut wrenching to me with people being furloughed and all. And I think that the world needs to know how important we are to the economy and how much we
yes.
do. And those meetings and those events, even though they're fun, they are by far a boondoggle. And we're not tying ourselves up in inner tubes in the Ozarks. We
Right.
are preparing actually to go forward with events again in a live. I see you're coming. I'm so excited at the Dell again, and it's all remodeled. So we're super excited about that. And I had to look at, okay, where could we be in August and be outside to be socially distanced,
Right.
where it would be cool? And where could we have like 2 stories where people could take stairs? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it now where folks don't have to get in an elevator,
Elevator.
and where
Mhm.
do they have a big ballroom, and Hilton is of course on board with all of their cleanliness standards. So anyway, we're forging it. We want to get back to what we do, and there's serious business to be done, and planners want to source, and hotels want to glean the business back that they've had to put on pause. And so as much as we want them to be fabulous and fun, we also want to provide a venue where people can get business done.
Certainly. And I mean, I have to tell you, the wonderful thing about being a planner and coming to one of your fabulous experiences is that when it's time for me to then book business, which I have booked a lot of business through
I
those
know you have.
experiences, you give me an idea of how to set it up. And of course, my secret will be out now. My executive leadership team, they think I'm a rock star because they're like, well, how
Oh,
did you
perfect.
think of this? And I'm just
I
like,
love that.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I
But
love that.
what I really love too is just your ability to be able to not only connect with the planners, but also all of the suppliers and our hoteliers. And I love that you are always just an email or a phone call away, and you leave it open. How many times have I reached out to you and said, hey, I need talent for this and I'm not sure where and you openly, here, try this person, and you give me a list, and it warms my
Oh,
heart.
well, I am so thrilled to hear you say that, and that's the name of the game. And we say going into it, steal this idea. I love, I'll never forget we did this event at the Four Seasons in Atlanta, and they really came up with the menu, but it was a combo of like traditional Southern fare
Mhm.
with sushi. And this planner went back and booked everything we did, even the food.
I
And
love
she
it.
said, I thought that was so creative of you. And oftentimes, these hotels that we're at, I got to give credit to them because they are really creative with the menus and the things that they do. But we get to showcase, and we say that to them, we get to showcase this to lots of great planners like yourself. And they do come back and book their ideas. So, the promise is delivered, and that's so wonderful to hear. Makes the whole business spin.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of my most successful events that I had to do, well, not even duplicate, triplicate, when I was with my former company, and I needed the 007. And literally, not only did you help me produce a 007, but I had the Sean Connery 007, and I had him
Oh,
for the
right.
years. And it was
Yes,
just
I remember.
magnificent. Yes. And everyone was just like, it was so funny because leadership was able to go to all three locations, and they were like, you made each event uniquely different, but it had some of the similar elements at each one. And I'm just so thankful for you because
Oh,
that put me in the forefront, and honestly it really built that rapport and trust with my leadership because they were like, oh, Cheryl's got it, like
oh,
she
good.
killed
Oh, good.
the
I like
game with
that.
this. Yeah, so
Yes, I'm so glad to hear that. And that's funny because I often, because of the nature, and I'm sure you do too, of what we do, my school can't wait till I get there so that I can help them plan their Christmas party or their annual fundraiser. And that 007 was actually a theme we did at our school fundraiser. So I'm so glad you were able to use that because that was a fun thing. That was a fun party.
oh,
That was a hoot. Yeah.
that was so much fun. And I mean, and I love it because it inspired everyone to be dressed up and really embrace
Yes.
that theme. And much like what you were talking about, how the food and it encompasses the whole experience. But let me
It
ask you this, because I know that we're right on the cusp of going to Hotel Del. And in the midst of COVID, how are you taking
Yeah.
all of those same creative ideas and kind of, and I'm not going to use the P word, so I'm going to say shift.
I understand. We call it pirouette, Cheryl, pirouetting.
Pirouette.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. I'm on the board of All Seated, and I find that they have an amazing distancing tool. So I've leaned on them a bit. The hotels, of course, have got it down. As I mentioned early, going into it, I was very strategic, and I love her name's Cheryl there too. Cheryl, I love Cheryl's; they're my special people. And I called up Cheryl and I said, I really want to get back to it, and we want to do a welcome back. And, of course, we were forging ahead, and then the numbers spiked, which we weren't planning on that. But, we wanted to, like I said, be outside. Prior to that, I think a lot of great ideas to do social distancing are dine-arounds within the hotel. So I did this years ago at the St. Regis when we did an event in San Francisco where we had one room was Asia, and it was the food, and we had the gal playing the beautiful Asian harp, and we had tea leaf reader, and so and then you could have only a certain amount of people allowed in that room, and then the next room was Rome, and it had Italian food. These foods lend themselves very easily to people being able to have a lot of variety, and we had a Roman singer, and we had It was just, and then the last room was, of all things, Hawaii, and we had a luau, and it was great fun. But you can be creative in social distancing and create ways for people to still have experiences
Mhm.
and stay apart if you can't go outside because of weather or whatever it might be. And I took that idea to the hotel. We're going to do our team building outside, partnering with the CVB there on Coronado Island, and go out and see. There's so many fun things to see out there. So
Oh,
we'll be
yeah.
outside in small groups, and
Right.
we're doing gourmet food, and we're giving out bento boxes as one of our gifts. So it's a twofer where you use it for your distanced food, but you can also take it with you. There's a lot of really fun ideas that, we're going to, of course, do the masks, and we've got these really fun customized masks and hand sanitizers in different flavors. So, try to incorporate and give people, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but I know we got to get back to business. And
Yeah.
I think we've got to figure out how to do it right.
Mhm.
And so if we can show people how to do that, and that was my forge ahead, and make it fun and make it something that people, because we want to get back.
Yeah.
And so that's our goal, is to lead the way.
I love that. And even when you were saying that, when you were saying about the bento boxes, it's a gift, but it's also sustainability because it's
Exactly.
reusable. And it's also encompassing this new world that we're living in, that, we're long gone are the days where we're doing buffets and things of that nature.
Right.
And so I completely get that. And the other thing is, it's the what I've come to know and enjoy is that smart meetings experience. It's wonderful when you set up an experience for us, especially not just the planners, but the suppliers too, where not only can I see what I can bring back and replicate in my own meetings, but we have that opportunity to share that experience with these people that we're networking with. And I always say this, and I think you would probably agree with this, is that I do the best business with people that not only am I friendly with, but we become friends. And I
Right.
feel like
Oh,
just,
it's key. It's key.
yes,
And I think, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was a key motivator. And it's something I'm very proud of. Even at my wedding, people made friends and went out to dinner later. And, I'm very proud of being able to connect people. And I think that an atmosphere that people come together can either provide comfort and safety, where people feel warm and able to make those connections. And then I was a big proponent early on of what I call putting in speed bumps, because I know when I go to some of these big events, I check in and I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I go? What do I do? Well, we
right,
want to have people at the front you're here and ingratiating and bringing folks on in a warm way. And then if you're standing in line for the psychic or the henna or the whatever experience that we're having, those are design speed bumps that people start talking when they're in line. And then they also have an experience. One time we had, like, everybody got a pennant, like, I'm shy, I'm an adventure, I'm this. And then people would go around, they read your fingerprint and they told you who you were. And I love building in these ways that can accelerate rapport. I think that's really key to a good meeting, no matter what industry you're in. Of course, our industry doesn't need much of that. They're pretty
right.
social and they don't have to be pushed. But it's still, if we can make people feel that connection quickly, it will accelerate that. So I'm glad to hear that you experienced that, because
Oh,
that's the
always.
goal.
Yes. And I have to tell you this, it's interesting that you said that. I remember we were and I think, oh, I hope I'm saying this right. It was the Line Hotel in Los Angeles, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
that was our
And
last event before COVID.
exactly. And you know, those speed bumps that you're talking about, but like there's a wine tasting experience. Obviously, there's the food that, you know, the hotel is providing, and we're on the rooftop and we're talking. It's like you have, and I know, like, it's so funny because I think about when I'm sitting there and I get engrossed. I'm just like, okay, tell me more about, and then we start talking, we're sharing these ideas, and then I hear my Marin on my shoulder. Okay, it's time to move to the next one. But what I love about that is that when you make that connection, you seek that person out when we have those networking breaks or we have those meal breaks, and and I love what you did at one of the formats was you had us all sit at themed tables. And as we're eating, we're collaborating and we're talking about what works for us, best practices, and even the most shy, because we do have a few shy people in hospitality, but even those people will come out and we get these discussions going and we learn more about each other. But it's
That was at the new Hyatt Regency at SFO, and
yeah,
our Moroccan themed tent. That was great fun. Yeah.
that was
And
amazing.
you know, those are key things. It not only gets us talking, but it gets us solving problems together.
Absolutely.
So I really like that. That's great.
I
Yeah.
also
And you
wanted
know,
to, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. You
No,
go.
no, no, you go. I was going to tell you, just based on that, I know that, um, kind of going back to the swag bag, you are like, if you know of anybody or you have someone that has promotional items or things, definitely, I love that you're so open to say, yeah, let's do that connection. So it's all about connecting and collaborating. And I love that you foster that. So that's what I was saying on that. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. And you know, I would say even that experience, you know, because we started, a lot of people call it a legacy product, but it's still our largest product is our magazine, our print product. And I'll never forget, I went out to dinner with a couple of people in Chicago on a at a trade show, and one of the gals said to me, "This is my favorite compliment. When your magazine comes in my mailbox, it's like a friend came over for tea." I love that.
I
And even
love
if the
that.
magazine can create that connection, and a lot of people who tell me all the time that they still love the print and they
Yes.
still read the print and they still get a lot out of that. We're right now doing more digitally simply because people aren't always at their office and it's
Right.
easier to get. But I like that print product as well. And I think that that too creates an experience
Oh, for sure
if
it
it's
does.
done right.
Yeah, I'm tangible. I love having something in my. There's something about opening up a fresh magazine or a fresh book, and you have it in your
I,
hand,
I
and it
love
is.
it
You
too. I
smell the
love it
paper.
too.
Yeah, so it's just, I get that, and then
Yeah.
especially when you know that you're going to see properties in there that either that you have been to and you want to see what the latest updates are, or something that you weren't familiar with, or that I'm going to see your familiar face too. And because we have this
Oh, well, thank
connection,
you.
you just have a way of just, can I just say this? You just make things look pretty and they're
Oh,
inviting and you
thank
want to
you.
know more
Thank
about
you.
it. And you're so genuine and you're like that. And,
I,
you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm like, oh my goodness, even more so. Because when you get to know Marin is literally like my big sister. She's just like, I'm going to help you.
oh,
And there's
thank
nothing
you.
that I've come to you and asked you for that you haven't been able to provide to me and give me an answer. And again, make me look like a
I
rock
appreciate
star.
that. Thank you, Cheryl.
Mhm.
This is becoming a big love fest, and I'm all in on that. I love that. And you know, those things, to know that we're connecting is so important on the opposite side too. To know that our vendors are being used and you're a great planner is key. So that's, you know, connecting is what our industry is all about. That's it. Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
And
Aside from the current pandemic and everything, because I look at you and I mean, this is just going to be more love fest here, but I look at you as obviously this wonderful leader, and you have created a space for women to, you know, venture off and do different things from an entrepreneurial perspective. And I realize
Mhm.
that, you know, as women, we face a lot of obstacles.
We
And
do.
um, how has that, how have you navigated that in this hospitality space? Because typically, my understanding was that it was male dominated, but um, I'm
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at you and you're providing a space for us. Even in this, coming to my platform right now, it's like I'm blown
Oh,
away.
I love that you're doing this, and I love supporting women endeavors and women entrepreneurs. And for me, my mother was very much an entrepreneur, way ahead of her time. I'll just put this in perspective. You know, back then, my mother had a college degree, which was very unheard of,
Okay,
and of course, she was a secretary for years, so that was what you did in those days. You were
right.
a nurse, a teacher, a secretary. She loved business, and then at 55 or so, she divorced my husband, or my father and her divorced. And my mother at 61 moved from Reno to Portland, Oregon, and she did temp jobs. She landed at Standard Insurance, where she became the right arm to she always worked her way up in that admin role to the president because she was quite efficient. And then at that night, here she is now 66. At night, she started going to school to become an esthetician because she was very passionate about beauty and face and
Wow.
youth. And she went and she worked all day at 66 and went to school at night until 10 o'clock and got up every morning and went to work. And then she became a full-time esthetician, and she worked every day and ran a spa in Portland until she was 82.
Are you kidding
So I
me? Wow.
have a great inspirer. And before that, she was a detective and she was a sheriff when I was growing up. And she was really, and she would evolve. She'd start out as an admin because that's how you did it as a woman, and then worked her way into a leadership role. So I had a very good model. And I would also, my father was an entrepreneur as well. But I would also say that when I came along, there were no women publishers. There were no women GMs. There were really very few women directors of sales and marketing in the hotels. So there was very few examples. And I'm sad to say that the women that were in those roles, in my mind, were very much mini men. And that was an example of something that I didn't want to do. I like my femininity. I like my creativity. I like to lead collaboratively. It's important to me. I like authenticity. So I could not see myself getting into that kind of ball busting role that women, when they first, a lot of people wouldn't understand what women had to go through to break through in those days. And I just did, and I was myself, and I wore my creative clothes. And yes, I do have a lot of business suits. And, you know, back then people, we called it the Diane Feinstein look with these bows and blazers.
Yeah.
And we wore white stockings, and it really wasn't very becoming. And you'd wear tennis shoes until you got to school anyway, and until you got to work.
Right.
And I made a choice to be myself, and it hasn't come easy. I still think that a lot of women, for me personally, I've taken a bit of a beating. People expect you to be nurturing and mommy, and they attach images to you as a leader of what you're supposed to be doing. And I love this. I had a guy when I was running meetings today. I ran that for 10 years prior to starting my own business. And
Wow.
in many ways, that company gave me a lot of gifts because they were not very hands on, and I was running that. And I'd be like, oh, the telephone system is falling down. Who does that? And I was up climbing through the walls, putting the wires in. And people used to say to me, do you own the company? And I'd be like, no, I don't. But then I would think, but maybe I should. Maybe I should.
Right.
And this guy that I was very close with at the time, that was under me, when we would have these people who were bashing me or attacking, or so, he used to always say, this is my favorite line. He would say, do you know how ridiculous this is, and how we would never be talking about this if you were a man? And that was always, that I wasn't nice enough. I wasn't sweet enough. I didn't say it with, I didn't bring cookies when I delivered it. And, I think that, it's hard sometimes to be a leader and you have to make some tough decisions and you're
Sure.
not always popular. And I think respect is more important than popularity. And it's hard
Absolutely.
sometimes with women because we're not wired that way. Believe me, I was extremely popular in high school and I love people and I love the heart and to leave with a heart, but sometimes it's a captain of a ship that has to make some hard decisions and it's not always popular.
True.
And for some reason, when you're a woman, the attacks seem to come much more readily. And that's something I would like to see changed because I think as a
Absolutely.
woman, we're more sensitive too. So it's hard.
It
Some are. I
definitely
am.
is. It's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that because I recognize that even for me, I'm kind of I love that you shared that story about your mother because my start even in event planning, so even way back when I was in the Navy, started from me being an EA or an admin, and so it's kind of
Right.
you're right. It's the way you get your foot in the door,
That's
and
right.
I can say things and with all sincerity and yeah, it's how you deliver that no and they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I'm like, oh, no. And then if
Yeah.
you're more stern, no, like, well, what's the problem? It's just a no.
Right.
That's all. That's all.
Right.
And
Yeah.
learning to be comfortable in that and give yourself permission that it's okay.
Totally. Oh,
Because I
very
know
much
as
so.
women, we're
Oh, yeah.
nurturers, we want
Oh,
to
yeah,
make it
totally.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a great gift. I worked at Hyatt. My resume could go on and on. My first job out of college, and my sister said I was trying to decide. I had a degree in psychology and communications, and she said, you really should do a hotel because you're so good at lunch. And so I went to work at the hotel because we did do a lot of lunch. But
Okay.
this woman who was on the regional staff, she gave me a great gift early on. She said to me at the hotel, "Oh, John, you're not going to do very well." And I was like, "Why? What am I doing? What's happening wrong?" And she said, "Oh, you care too much about people liking you." And she said, in the middle of the night, when your group checks in and you're all nice and friendly with the front desk and the behind, and they have to decide whose group they're
Mm,
going to walk your group because they know that you're not going to be upset or they're not going to have as many repercussions because you care that they like you and they know it. You can't help but show it. So she would say, Marin, go for respect over being liked. You can have all the friends in the world, but in your professional world, go for respect. And it was just like a gong that hit me early on that I took to heart and I decided to make my own.
that is some great advice. And right now I have chills because as an event planner, I've been in that position where another group, it came down to the two of us. And because you know me, this is you get this all
Yeah,
day long.
right,
And they were able to accommodate, but it wasn't what I originally had contracted for. So
right.
that, oh, had I known that then, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can I also believe and I think, as women and in leadership, you can disagree and not be disagreeable. And I think it comes a lot with us owning our power. And when you own your power, it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be confrontive. It doesn't have to be any of those things. And people can know and take you seriously without you having to display any sort of aggression. And I think sometimes we don't want to do that because we don't want to hurt people but
Yeah.
you can have that respect and still be kind.
I love that. Well, let me
Yeah.
ask this as well. I mean, how do you find that balance between being this amazing CEO and motherhood and just regular life? I mean, we all know, and you and I know we had a little conversation before this started, but life happens, right? So,
Now
like,
life
how do you
happens.
find this balance?
Absolutely. I took all the teddy bears down behind me before I was running around. This office has become this computer's become my fortnight computer working from home, and I have to come in and rewire everything before. And, I think every woman, you do the best you can, and you cannot, I've given up, and that's the thing with age perfection. It just is too much work. Nobody cares. And we're hardest on ourselves. And at the end of the day, I think that we do have to prioritize ourselves. In this COVID time, I've gotten myself into a meeting planner support group that's really been, I don't know how I got in it, but it's just been a godsend. And they talk a lot about resiliency and making time for yourself. And it's not easy. I mean, I've got 25 people that are still full-time employed, and we haven't cut any salaries. We had to let a few people go, but not many. And it's been a struggle, but we really love our staff and love our team, and they've been with me for a long time, so we haven't wanted to do that. But it's funny with this working with home, they want to Zoom me all the time. I'm like, I'm fine. I know you're working. It's almost like they want to be more in touch than they were before. And so I was having a lot of Zoomings, and then I was having homeschooling, and every time I turn around, my kid would be doing a game, and I'm like, no, we're not doing a game. At
Right.
the end of the day, this whole Netflix lying on the couch thing did not happen for me. And
No.
I was in a face plant at the end of the day. And it's it's part of the gig. I go to bed really early, and I get up really early, and I walk every day, and there's certain non-negotiables with me.
Okay.
I always say, I read Tom Brady goes to bed at 9 o'clock, and I go to bed at 9 o'clock, and every night I say, good night, Tom. I
I
know he
love
doesn't know it.
it.
And
I
he
wouldn't mind
probably
saying
goes,
goodnight to
from
Tom
here.
either.
And that way I can budget in whatever goes on in the middle of the night, and I might be disturbed. I still get enough sleep.
I love that.
Because sleep
So
is key to me.
what I'm hearing is self-care is very important amidst
Yeah.
all of the things that we're all dealing with right now. And there's a lot of uncertainty. I know for me, it's really important for me in the way of business is to kind of take that, I guess, more fear than anything out of meeting. I keep bringing it back to my
Yeah.
leadership team. I'm just like, no, we need to get together, and we'll stick to the guidelines. We'll have care packages. Of course, I learned all this from you. We'll have all of
Oh,
these meeting, emergency meeting kits and whatnot, and I'll have a great relationship, with my hotel partners. But I think it's really important on the planner side that we continue to push for business and not cancel, but just reschedule. And
yeah.
that's been
Oh, very
really, really
important.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, and move
It's
forward. And I know the numbers have gone up, and that fear. I read Michelle Obama is suffering a little bit with depression right now, and I totally get that. And it's been such a roller coaster ride. I was like, first I got into fight mode, and we launched all these products, and we got all this going, and then I went into fear mode and passed through. It's been a roller coaster ride, and now I'm a little bit in surrender mode, and I've laid a lot of seeds, and you can't force things. And somebody said to me the other day, what if everything wrong, Marin, was really right? And maybe things are unfolding in a different way, and maybe this pause is a chance for us to reset, because I know I was going a million miles an hour, and I'm just now starting to catch my breath. I would love for it to go away. I don't know when that is. I know we all would. But I think we have to keep on figuring out a way to adapt and keep doing what we do, because the financial loss cannot overcome everything else. It's just, that can't be. And I think we
certainly.
can get back together safely. And I think that we are not these social gatherings that are, again, I say these motorcycles or protests, and those were all for a good cause, but it was during a time when we needed to be distanced and lower that curve so that financially people are able to sustain themselves. It's that scares me probably the most.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. You've given me, every time I'm around you, I get so many wonderful seeds of wisdom. And
Oh,
I have
thank
to
you.
tell you, I really look up to you. You
Thank
show what it is to, again, be in a male-dominated industry and still keep all that femininity. And I have to say, I love if I could live a day in your closet,
you.
I
I
not
do have
tell you
a
that every time
fashion
I
gene.
see you?
You know, that fashion gene goes back to my grandmother and my mother. My mother was a professional model, and I just love clothes. But I'm just, right now, I'm living in what I have, right? And it's a lot of fun. And, I think you've got to be able to, even in these times, I dressed up today, even though you can't see it's just part, you got to do it.
Yes, you're absolutely
And I
correct.
appreciate those kind words. And I'm happy to inspire you. And you're inspiring me what you're doing. Because
Thank
everybody
you.
keeps saying to me, we're going to do a podcast. I'm like, oh, I can't think of that. So I'll be on Cheryl's. That's better.
I love it, and I'm so honored. I really am. I'm going to say one last thing. When you started this series where planners and suppliers could get together, even amidst all of this distancing that we have going on, and just really kind of connect with each other again. And I know, like, the last thing people want to see is another Zoom, because I think I heard my daughter say this the other day. We're becoming Zoom zombies, but
Yeah, I think so.
there's something to be said about connecting with people that you met through the smart meetings experience, and we're just
Oh,
checking in with each other, and it feels good. Even though we can't touch each other and be in that space and sharing a lovely cocktail and whatnot, it's
yeah.
like we still know that we're out here and we're working to get back and to connect. And Marin, you are definitely
I'm
that.
thrilled to
You're
hear that. That's
you're
wonderful.
the
Well, I
ultimate
appreciate it.
connector. You really are.
Well, it takes one to know one, Cheryl. You're pretty good at that yourself. So I'm so thrilled. And I saw you had Russell, the hotel, and I was thrilled to hear
Yes,
that
yes,
connection. And we've got our smart connection too. You can go in and chat with people and get to be a part of that. So I'm
absolutely.
thrilled. That's so heartwarming and means so much to all of us. And my great team and JT and everybody, Michelle, the people behind me, I'm only as good as my team, and they create the great content and the posts and the website and the marketing and my sales team. I've got a lot of good people behind me that help make it so. So I appreciate that.
Well, I am very fortunate to not only be a part of that Smart Meetings alumni, but also I consider you a friend and definitely a mentor in this industry. And
Thank you.
you're a maverick. I'm just going to throw it out there. You are.
Oh, Maverick.
You do some pretty amazing things, and I love that you do it unapologetically. And when I say that is, a lot of times, again, like I said before, we have to give ourselves permission to be in that space and be comfortable with the decisions that we're making. And
Oh, absolutely.
I see that in you, and I get so excited when I know that I'm coming to a Smart Meetings event, or even if I see
Oh,
you at another industry event, I have to make a beeline over to you. You know that.
That's one of my favorite things. We had a speaker who was coming to a smart meeting who got picked up with a group of planners at the airport. And she got here and she goes, I have never been with so many people who were so excited that were on their way to a smart meeting. I couldn't wait to get here. They were like chickens clucking down the road. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. She said they were all going on and on about how excited they were. I love that. So we love having you, and we love for your audience to join us. And as you mentioned, we've got smartmeetings.com and we've got
Yes,
the Smart Connection, and you can always subscribe to Smart Meetings and go on our website and apply to come to an event. And we'd
certainly.
love to get to know you, for whoever's listening, and to become our best friends too. So,
Absolutely. And then also on Twitter, you're on Instagram, and
oh yeah,
I love the connectivity because anytime, and I have to say this, Marin always makes it a point where you have these tweetable moments, and I love it because that's another way for us to all connect. And
good. Oh,
yeah,
I'm so good.
Great
Thank you.
connective. No,
Thank
thank
you. And thank
you.
you so much for having me. And thank you so much. I feel so much better being here. You've really put the hop back in my step.
Awesome.
So
Well, I
thank
cannot wait to see you in person.
I'll see you
And
soon. Yes.
yes,
We're going to
very
get back
soon.
to it. I want all of us to get back to it. I don't want anybody to get sick, but I really want us to meet. So I'll
Very
see you
much.
soon. And
I look
thank you so
forward
much. You
to
look
it.
marvelous. And
Thank
I'll
you.
look forward to that.
I
Thank
look
you.
forward to it as well. Thank you for coming on this platform, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks,
Take
Cheryl.
care.